My name is Alex Rakis, and I'm an infielder on the baseball team. This is my 3rd year at St. Peter's and 6th year in college. So it's been quite a journey. So I'm from Chicago. So I started at a junior college in Chicago. It was always my dream to play on the West Coast. I love the West. I had a conversation with my coach that I really wanted to try to get to a school out there. And he told me probably just with baseball, it's very regionalized. It probably wasn't going to happen. So I didn't want to take that. I didn't want to go somewhere in the Midwest. So I said, all right, and then packed it up and went out to a junior college in Monterey, California. Absolutely beautiful place, loved it. Unfortunately, one semester there, my coach brought in 2 new middle infielders and told me that my spot was gone, basically. And so I think that was like the first moment in my college career where I was like in shambles a little bit, and felt like this could be it, this could be over. It was my 3rd year in junior college, and I didn't even have a spot on the team. So then I moved over to another junior college and played a semester there. Played well, and then went to San Francisco State. Really enjoyed my time there, but unfortunately there was 2 guys that were 6 years at the time, and they had another year to play after. So there just wasn't really a place for me there at all. Crossroads, and I didn't know exactly what to do. So then I hit the portal, and Coach Neary called me. So then I packed it up again and drove 55 hours across the country here.
My name's Georgia, and I play volleyball. So I'm a junior academically, but on the court, I'm a sophomore, and next year I will also be a sophomore again. So I'm from Sacramento, California. It's like in the northern part of California, and I have been playing volleyball since I was, I think, 10, 11 years old. And I always knew that I wanted to go far for college. I knew that I wanted to go far from home. I just grew up as a really independent kid, and I knew there was more out there for me than my small town in NorCal. So when I was doing my college hunt, I was only looking at colleges that were in the East Coast, and specifically in the New York area. So I definitely I did some digging, I did some research, and ended up emailing the head coach at St. Peter's, who is actually not here anymore. We got a new coach. And he offered me pretty much a full ride to the school with academic and athletic money combined. So it just kind of all worked out pretty well.
We'll take it all the way back. 5th grade, I broke my neck in C1 and C2. So I was handicapped for about a year in a wheelchair and lived at the Mayo Clinic that was playing football. So it didn't look like I was ever gonna be able to play a sport again. So I was just lucky to walk, and I was super grateful just to be a normal kid again. And then it progressed really fast, and they said no contact sports, but obviously baseball wasn't contact sports, so I just totally went all into baseball. And then got pretty lucky. I fractured my lower back, I don't even know, L4, L5, maybe something like that. So I'm on limited time right now. By the time I'm 30s, this will have to all be fused up. So I'm using my body as much as I can right now. But once I got to college, super lucky. Didn't really have any injuries my whole career up until last season. Figures like that was my 5th year and my last year to play, and like finally, like after 4 years of grinding, like I got like a really good opportunity where I felt I could get a lot of time on the field, and I tore my hip labrum and was playing through that all right, and then a couple weekends into the season tore my left shoulder labrum, and so then that was a game changer for me. It kind of like set me back quite a bit. Since it was my last year, it was either get surgery now and be done, or just play it out and do the best I could. So I grinded it out, played it out, and then got both surgeries in the summer. So like this is the best I've felt since like high school.
I mean, as long as I think all of us have lived, we've played baseball, right? That's why it's so hard to hang it up. I'm 23 years old now, so I got all my friends, getting promotions in their jobs and stuff, and they're asking, what am I up to? I'm like, I'm still playing ball, man. I'm still in college. This summer was especially tough mentally just because, I had my hip surgery first, so I couldn't walk. Damn it. And then about 3 weeks later, I got my shoulder surgery, so I couldn't move my arm. So I was just laying in bed about, 20 hours out of 24 hours. I couldn't lift my leg above like 50 degrees. So I couldn't even sit up, I couldn't even sit in a seat. So it just takes a toll after some time, not being able to see family, not being able to see friends, like missing some parties and stuff and holidays. And this was my last summer, if you will, before the real world hits me. So it was just kind of hard not being able to enjoy that. And especially, I'm coming out here fighting for a spot.
Initially, I was really scared. I genuinely thought that I was probably going to get cut from the team, just because obviously if you're part of a team that goes 0-30 one year and 1-30 the year before, there's not a lot to prove individually. So I was really nervous about it, but I just remember the first time I met that coach in our meeting, it went really well. He seemed just like a really stand-up guy who cared just for the overall well-being of the program, and he seemed just really understanding too of kind of the inequality and unfairness that we had with the coach previously. So he gave me a shot, and I really appreciated it, especially through my injuries and stuff. He hasn't threatened to take away my scholarship or made me feel as if I'm not a part of the team. So it's been a good transition. I would say it would be a lot easier if I was actually playing and able to prove myself, but he's a great guy, and I think that's a big reason why I've decided to kind of stick this out. Honestly, volleyball is my entire identity, and it has been since I was 11, 12 years old. I grew up with a family that was super hyper competitive. The whole environment I grew up in revolved around competitiveness and sports. So I never really had the chance to kind of learn who I was outside of the sport. And I never wanted to either. Even throughout college, I've known that my future career is always going to be in the sports world, whether it's coaching or professional volleyball or just being part of sports media. And I don't know, this break has been really teaching to me. It's been really emotional. I've definitely lost a huge part of myself, I think, and I've noticed it with my interactions with my teammates or my friends, even my family back home, my boyfriend back home as well. I've just been really down, and that's not the person I am as a whole. I think when people initially meet me, they think that I'm a kind person, I'm outgoing, I have a loving personality, and I've just kind of noticed myself really slipping up recently, and it's just been this hard and emotional journey that I would not wish on anyone, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird, right? Because I've always been a really optimistic person, and I always try to see the best in stuff, but it was just so disappointing and demoralizing to after I said mentioned working so hard to get to this point, it just felt really unfair, and I felt you know, I was letting a lot of people down, not playing like to the best of my abilities.
I mean, this is probably the longest I haven't picked up a bat or put on a glove since I was damn near 5, 6 years old. Yeah, big, yeah, big! That's a hell of a play, Bake. Love it. So they said 16 weeks until I'm 100% good to go. But it's been a little bit of an up and down battle, just trying to get right. I don't want to rush into anything like I did last year. It's my last year, 6th year. I didn't even think I was going to be lucky enough to get it. So honestly, I'm just feeling pretty blessed just to be standing out here right now. I feel like each year that goes by, I feel like just a little more appreciative of all the little things that are coming my way. If this was my freshman year, I don't think I could stand out here and appreciate it as much as I do right now. Just taking every rep, every second, just trying to soak it all in and enjoy it as much as I can. Ball! Ball! Ah, that's so bad. Did anybody yell 4 on that? You did? That's on me. See, there it is. Here's that first day back. Welcome back, take advantage.
Yeah, so I redshirted my freshman year for a stupid broken ankle injury, something that I could have definitely been cleared to go within like the month. But unfortunately, with kind of how the insurance and the timeliness of this school is for injuries, you don't get an MRI until a month after you get hurt. And it's when you're in season, that time is really vital. Obviously, like an average season for a fall sport is what, like 3 to 4 months at a whole. And I got hurt the first game of my freshman year, and I was out until around November. So it really didn't make any sense for me to play that whole freshman year. And then I came in my sophomore year. I was in the best shape I've ever been in my entire life. I think individually I had a good season. Like if you look at the stats, obviously the games and the results of the games don't mean a lot, but as a player, like I had a starting role. I was a leader on the court. And I don't mean to brag, but I think that I was one of like the hardest workers on the team. And I finally had this chance to like get out there and do what I've been dreaming of since I was a little girl. And I think I took that for granted. You know, I look back and I hated the coach a lot. I don't want to say hate, but I didn't have a good liking for a lot of the people on my team. It was a really toxic environment, and I just remember like I would call my boyfriend or I would call my family back home and be like, I want to leave. This is too much. This is too hard. And then I go into the spring season of my sophomore year, which is when the new coaches came, and it was kind of a refresh or restart for me where I knew like this is when I needed to step up and prove myself. And a week into practice, I tear everything possible in my shoulder. So it's been really weird, and I think like in a way it was kind of the universe telling me like don't take anything for granted, because even though you had a hard season your sophomore year, like you still got the opportunity to get on the court whenever you could. Sitting here watching, it's not what I want to be doing whatsoever. Yeah, no, that's the thing too, is like, I think before I came in, I was like, I don't want to do stats, like I'm not a manager, but like just being involved, it helps. Yeah, it's nice to feel, I don't want to say like needed or like acknowledged, but just feel like a part of it, yeah. Oh no, it's very segregating. Yeah, definitely.
I think like what really affected me the most was after the surgeries. I've never had surgeries before. So with my hip, I couldn't walk, and then with my shoulder, I couldn't move. So I just had to sit up like 24/7 and couldn't drive and stuff. And that was like probably the most like mental warfare like I've ever had to go through. Like it was my last summer, like before getting into the real world and stuff, and I just really wanted to enjoy it. And instead I was like stuck in the house 24/7, like I couldn't really sleep and stuff. So like that was like I feel like I gained a lot from it now, and like I feel like my mind's in a lot better place. But during that time, like it was tough. Like there was a lot of bad days and just like sad days, and like seeing other people do stuff that like I couldn't do. But at the same time, like I knew that it was only going to be, you know, a few months and that I'd be back. So I tried to fill my time the best I could and just kind of used it to, you know, figure out what the next few years of my life are going to look like. So I feel like I used it in the best way that I could, but definitely like was way more of a struggle than I'd expected. I've always had like really big dreams just for my life in general. And I've had like a lot of people like, hey, you know, like as you get older, you gotta be more realistic. Like, you know, you gotta start thinking about like getting a job and stuff. And I'm not even talking about like just baseball. Like obviously for baseball, like, you know, for us all to get to this level, like of course we want to get to the next level, and that's always been, you know, my biggest dream. But just in life in general, and like trying to live life to the fullest. And I feel like sometimes, you know, when you have a bad day or like bad things happen or bad situations that feel like they set you back, it can be really hard to like take a step back and look at it from like a third perspective and just realize like that, you know, your path isn't always going to be like climbing up in like sunshine and flowers. It's more like, you know, you gotta fight for what you want. Like I've got a big family, lots of cousins, a brother like we've always played, and so now I'm the last of my family still playing a sport. So like I feel like one of the biggest connections that me and my dad have is baseball. Like I'd say like 70% of the stuff we talk about is baseball. You know, like it's our whole life. Like you get so engulfed in it that like I'm doing it for like him and my grandpa, like as much as I'm doing it for myself, like sometimes like more so for them than myself. So like I think that's why it hurts so much when I don't perform at the level that I want to be. Letting yourself down sucks, but like seeing how much like time, money, like effort, like passion that like my dad and like family has put into me to be able to be here and play, and then just like it makes you feel like you're not making them proud and like letting them down, and that's like the worst feeling, especially because I mean we spend so much time out here, like all we do is play baseball, right? So like during the season, like whether it's like individually I'm not playing well or, you know, the team's not playing well, it's like you spend 8 hours a day doing it, and then you get home and that's all you're thinking about. And so like as I've gotten older, I think when I was younger that affected me a lot more, but as I've gotten older you kind of see like it's constantly up and down. So like you can't live and die on the roller coaster, because when those highs, when you're in the zone and you're having great weekends, like you feel like you're the man and it's the best. But then when you get to the bottom and you're going through a rough stretch, like it's just miserable and you feel like your life is over, like you're hanging on by a thread, you don't know what to do. So as I've seen this like cycle just repeat and repeat, I think I've learned a little better that like you kind of just got to stay at a consistent level, like enjoy the highs and then like endure the lows and know that like you're going to be coming back up. Like you just got to get through it.
Honestly, I think that I've had a great support system throughout this. Even though I'm someone who I'm very hyper independent, I think that's a big reason why I chose to go so far away from home for school, is because I needed that sense of like freedom and individuality. But my family has been such an amazing support system throughout this time. Like I feel like I've grown closer with my parents during this specific time of the past year that I've been hurt than ever before, just because I've been able to really fall back on them and rely on them and truly take in like everything that they have to say. And you know, I have a great group here. I have a great group of professors, of classmates, of teammates as well. And as much as like I think that being injured kind of separates me from the team, they've all done a really great job of still making me feel as if I'm a part of things, and they do whatever they can really to involve me, even though like it's not being fully involved in the way that I would want to. Like I'll take stats for our games. I will be a part of practice every day, like either doing stats or the scoreboard or cheering, or even just doing like PT off on the side and still feeling like I'm being proactive with my time.
It's a good thing to be passionate and you want to be You know, it should hurt you if you're not doing well, but at the same time, if you beat yourself up too much, like that's not doing yourself any good. So I think like the biggest thing is just like having other hobbies and other things I could spend my time on that are a little less stressful. So like I like to, like if I have a bad day or bad practice or something and my mind's racing, like sometimes I'll just sit down and start painting or drawing, or I like to read a lot. So like that always, like reading's probably the most beneficial thing for me, like just to get my mind back locked in and realize like, okay, like you need other things like outside of baseball. If it's only baseball, like it just, it's too much of a mental game to get like too wrapped up in. My dad has probably put in 8,000 hours, if not more, like since I was 3 years old. Like if I need somebody to throw with, if I need somebody to put balls on the tee for me, like he would do it on his lunch break, he would do it after work, he would do it when he was tired. Like it could be 11 p.m. and he would come down and spot me when I'm benching. Like anything that I need, like he wants the best for me, and like he's willing to sacrifice, like, you know, if there's a tournament in Arizona, like he'll take the week off and go there even though like he really can't do that, or you know, whatever it is, like he's always been there. So I think that drives me so much, because it's like if he can do all this stuff and it's not even him playing, then like I got to do this like just as much for him as myself. And then my mom on like the flip side is like just my overall like support system throughout like my entire life. Like whatever I'm doing, like she's right next to me, like just call away, always supporting me. So like again, just so grateful to have them in my life, because if I didn't have them, like there's no chance that I would be sitting here right now. I remember having like the phone call with my mom, and I was like, you know, like, is this it? Like, am I done? Like, should I just like graduate and like get on with my life? And you know, she was, you know, huge for me. Just like whatever you want to do, like you do it. And I know that's like pretty basic or cliche, but like I knew I wanted to keep playing, and like if you want it bad enough, like you can find a way. And like unfortunately it wasn't, you know, out there, but I'm so like grateful now that like I made that decision and came here. So like I think it's just with baseball and sports in general, like you can never have like a set plan. So like, you know, people that you like are friends with outside of sports, it's like they know what their 3-year plan is. They know what they're going to be doing next year. And I just felt like I never had like a stable, like I went to 5 schools in 3 years. So it was just like I never had my feet under myself, and like I feel like you kind of like lose a little bit of yourself when like you're so far away from home and you're moving all the time. It's like it's hard to remember who you are and like know yourself. And I think like self-knowledge is a really important thing. So again, that just goes back to like you cannot get to like 100, like you want to be 100% in baseball, but at the same time you got to be 100% into yourself too, and know that there's other things going on.
I think like the most unfair thing I do to myself, or I think of myself, is just kind of my worth like as a person. You know, it's really easy as an athlete to associate your performance with your own personal self-esteem. And I think I always convince myself that like I could be doing more, and I'll kind of second guess myself, like, oh, does my shoulder actually hurt? Am I just being scared and precautious because I got that huge surgery, or can I push through this? Is this something that I'm just manifesting out of anxiety and scared, and that like scared feeling of getting hurt again? And I honestly, like I look back at it, and there's times where I'll be in so much pain, but I don't tell anyone because I just think that's part of it. And that's something that I've really had to work on, is kind of like honing myself in, of being like, yeah, you don't have to prove yourself to anyone right now. You don't have to show everyone that you're big and tough. Like this is, at this point for me, it's become about my personal health and well-being outside of being an athlete, outside of having the chance to play professionally. Like this is about me as a person and like my future as an actual person. I think that being viewed as an athlete sometimes is dehumanizing. Like people see what you're doing and they just automatically believe that like you're capable of it, you're handling it just fine. You have all these great opportunities, you're being treated like royalty on campus, so therefore you must be doing well. And I think that honestly at this school especially is kind of the opposite. Like we don't get the benefits that people at top Division I institutions get. And you know, mental health is it's a tough game. I've struggled with it since I was 10, 11 years old. You know, I was diagnosed with anxiety, with depression, with post-traumatic stress disorder at a really young age. And the way that I was taught to deal with it was either you take medicine or you just do what you have to do. Like you don't talk to people about it. You don't let it implement into your daily life. If it's something that affects you, you have to deal with it, and it shouldn't have an effect on anyone else around you. So I think like the first step for athletes, honestly, is just feeling the comfort to be able to be vulnerable, or feeling like you are accepted, not only as a player, not only as an athlete, but as a person, as a whole. Because as we have seen these past 5 years, like the suicide rate has gone up immensely, and it really pains me to see, because I as an athlete have struggled myself with suicidal thoughts and with depression, and just knowing how that feeling is and seeing it throughout the country, and also seeing kind of like our reactions to it, like, oh, thoughts and prayers, you know, Mental Health Awareness Month, but what's all that really doing?
I mean, I don't even think I've talked too much about this, but like I would literally just like lay in bed and just like cry sometimes, like just literally just like feeling like I hate my life, like I don't even want to play baseball, like I don't even know what I want to do like with my life, like what am I even doing out here in California, like why am I even here? And then I would do it the next day and we would suck and I would suck, and then I would go back and lay on my bed and not do like shit, like I wouldn't do anything. So I think that was like another, like in those moments, like I had like very little hope for like what like I was becoming. And I think now, like being able to look back on that, like I say, like you learn experience through like challenges and stuff. Like I think that was like a huge thing for me to realize, like, you know, you can make any, you know, you make the most out of where you are. You make the most out of any situation. There's so many things that like if I could go back then that I would do differently now, but I think I needed to go through that to learn that. And now like I'm so much better off than I would have been if I like never went through that.
I want to say I'm happy because I am extremely just grateful for everything I have in my life. Like I recognize that this opportunity is something that not a lot of people get. Actually, like what, 2% of athletes get this opportunity. But if I'm being completely honest, like I really am not happy. I haven't felt genuinely happy since, what, February? When I got hurt, like the day before I got hurt. That's when I was peak athleticism. I was with a new team, new coaches. I finally felt like, okay, this is it. Like this is my chance. And the next day just was taken away from me like that.
There's always gonna be bad things that happen, right? Like everybody has terrible things happening to them, like all the time. So like when something bad happens to you or to me, like I used to take it as like why is it so unfair to me? Like why did this happen to me? And I think like the biggest thing that I've learned is gratitude. So for example, like when I got my like injury or something, like, you know, I couldn't play as well as I wanted to with my shoulder. It was like, well, at least I'm walking. You know what I mean? Like there's people out here that aren't walking. So like I think my first step is realizing how much worse things could be, and then the second step is being grateful for what I have right now. And then the third step is realizing how that it could be an opportunity. Like how can I make this bad thing be a positive opportunity? So like how I touched on, you know, a few minutes ago, like when when I was sitting all summer not doing what I wanted, like that can get your head going and racing. And then it's like, all right, well, like at least I'm gonna heal, at least I'm gonna be okay. And then that third step is realizing like, how can this negative be, how can I use this to my benefit? So like, that's why I kind of took the time to realize like, all right, what do I want to do once I graduate? Where do I want to be? And like, how can I set myself up for that? So I just think overall, the overarching like lesson or point in there is gratitude. Gratefulness will change your life.
My best friend Grace, who passed away when I was 15, she's kind of the inspiration for everything. She's what I use as like the motto to keep going. I lost her when I was 15, she was 18. We were in an ATV accident together, and she was honestly like the only person in my life at that time that I felt truly knew me as a person and truly like got me. And when she died, like I promised myself everything I do is gonna be for her. Like every triumph, every defeat, every decision I make as a person like is dedicated to her. And that's been like really like it's the biggest thing out of everything else that has happened to me, like that I use as my motivation for it. The only person that's got you is you at the end of the day. I think of course I relied on myself. Like I said, I was really independent, but I also kind of relied on like what other people thought, especially with like the people in a leadership position, like a captain or a coach. And I realized very quickly that if you're not okay, mentally, physically, spiritually, everything, then you're not gonna perform well as an athlete. And that's kind of what I wish I knew as a young kid, was that like, you can push through things, yes, you can act like you're okay, but you really are not going to be okay unless you take the time for yourself. Hey, let's go.
Ooh, that's an awesome question. I feel like that could be answered for like hours, but the biggest thing that I would say is that there is a constant battle, and I wish I knew this when I was younger. There's a constant battle in your head between the positive and negative, and when something goes wrong and those negative voices in your head start talking to you, don't just listen, because if you just listen to those negative voices, that's gonna take over your head and you're gonna fall into just a snowball effect, and it's just gonna lead to like worse and worse things. So like when those negative voices come up, talk back to them. Like use your positive voice in there and talk back. Like it's not true. Like you could be feeling, you could wake up and your back hurts, right? Like there's nothing that you can do about that. So just tell yourself over and over, I feel great, I feel great, I feel great. Like that's what I do every time that I step in the box. I tell myself I feel great every morning, because your words are weapons. Like you gotta use your weapons in the best way that you can possible. So I don't think people realize how much power your words have and your mindset has, especially in sports. It's, people say it all the time, it's 90% mental. If we're all sitting on a Division I baseball team right now, we all have the talent for it. It's what separates you is your mental game. Like put as much time into your mental space as you do your physical space, if not even more. Because a lot of times when you're going through a slump, it's not something in your swing that needs to be changed. It's just your mindset when you go up to the plate. So overall, just talk back to that negative side and win the war over the negative side with your positive words.
How you perform on the court, or the playing time that you're given, or just your social status as an athlete has nothing to do with who you are as a person. And we should all feel like we have a community within each other. We shouldn't feel like we're all battling against each other in this game. Like at the end of the day, like we're a small community of people, and we should have that sense of family and have that sense of comfort to be able to be vulnerable.
I think, everything comes with experience, right? So like you have to go through things to learn things. So when I was younger, like I would live and die with like every play on the field. Like if I made an error like in practice, like my world was falling apart. And like now it's just like you take a step back and realize like all of our time is limited. Like our time on earth is limited. Like this is my last year I'll probably ever play a competitive sport. Like you just want to enjoy it, like soak in every second, because it feels like a blink of an eye ago that I was a freshman trying to find a spot on a JUCO team in Chicago. And now all of a sudden I wake up and it's my 6th year in college. Like I should be having a job right now. I'm just so like thankful that I'm still being able to play, because like I know next year and the year after and like 20 years from now, I'm gonna be looking back at this and be like, you know, this was like some of the best times of my life. So no matter how bad like, you know, a practice is going or I'm playing, like I'm just like so happy that I'm playing. We can do anything that our minds think we're capable of. So like if I can get some guys that have their, you know, thermometer set at 75 degrees, if I could get their mental thermometer up to 95 degrees and I can tell them that like day in and day out, you look great today, you look good today, like you're getting better, this like you look like a whole different player than last year. Like they're gonna start believing that. And if they can believe that they're, you know, an A++ player compared to like what they see themselves now as like a B+ player, then they're gonna be that much better. They're gonna, you know, hopefully rub that off to somebody else, and hopefully it'll, you know, a chain of events bring everybody up. That's the goal. That's the goal at least.
I think I put the most pressure on myself out of anyone. The staff, my physical therapist, my surgeon, my teammates, my coaches. I think out of everyone combined, I'm the one who puts the most pressure on, because I'm just the type of athlete where like, I'm gonna push through anything. Like I will work until I am dead, essentially. And that's definitely impacted me a lot, especially like within the past month. I tried to go back on the court a month before I should have been cleared to play. And it's set me back probably about 6 months. Our world is completely flipped upside down. We have two people who are genuine and loving and caring. They come from really great families that we've all gotten to know well. And they just have like the best personalities. Like they balance each other out so well. Like my head coach is just this goofy guy who will like in the middle of a super serious moment will show like an old roster photo of you from when you were in like 6th grade. And then our assistant coach is like all about the emotion and like that leadership of on the mental side of things. Like he gives the best speeches I've ever heard in my entire life, and it just keeps going out of him. Like he doesn't read from anything, he doesn't stutter, he just says it, he nails it every time.
Sit here and we play and we practice as if everything is guaranteed. Tomorrow's not promised to you. Not on the court, not in general. So your job is to be consistent and give every single bit of what you've got to offer, every moment that you're blessed to have it here.
Every day I feel like I owe, you know, Coach Neary like everything, because you know, when I was transferring out of San Francisco, I was pretty down bad, you know, and he gave me an opportunity and he gave me a chance, and I took it immediately and said like, if this guy's, you know, willing to take a chance on me, then like I'm gonna give him everything I've got like every day. So I just like try to do my best in like everything I do to like show him that he made the right decision. And I think that's like another motivator for me, or something that keeps me going, is like I can't let him down. I can't, because I've been told before, like in San Francisco, that like he made the wrong decision bringing me in here. And like, I've got it written up like right here. Like ball just dies off your bat, weak, no strength, hitting into the gap. And he told me that in a meeting like 3 years ago, and was like, when you came here and we recruited you, like we thought you were good. Like I don't know what happened to you. And that was just like a stab in my heart, because like I felt like I'd done a lot for this guy. And so like knowing that Neary took the risk and took me in here, like I owe him everything to prove to him that like, you know, he made the right decision.
People say that St. Peter's is like a really like weird environment because it's a commuter school, but I really think it's what you make out of it. Like I have great friendships with people on all teams, soccer, basketball, baseball, softball. Like I think that there are really great people within every program. Obviously there's gonna be some outliers, but I think like if you take the steps to be outgoing and just kind and just showing up to a game or showing your support in the training room, like it's really easy to create that community, but it doesn't just naturally fall on your lap. Like you have to kind of seek it out, which can be hard at times, but you know, like it's a small school, we should take advantage of it.
I think that, you know, this is a cool school, and you know, it's a tight-knit community, and the athletes know all the other athletes. Everybody knows people by their first names. So like I really think that we can do a much better job of, I don't know how necessarily, but whether that's more events or just maybe it's up to us, you know, the athletes itself, of just building a culture and like bringing people together and supporting one another's teams and stuff. Like everybody wants to see St. Peter's be successful. So like I think that starts with us, and like all of us, you know, if you see an athlete on campus, reaching out to them, saying what's up, or like good luck at your game, or I'll be, you know, checking out, you know, keeping updated with the score or whatever it is, just to know that, just to let them know that, you know, you're supporting them, you're thinking of them, and they've got like a little bit of a fan base behind them. Because I know like when students come to our games, like, you know, you want to show out, like you want to do your best. It gives you that little extra motivation. So like hopefully that's something that, you know, just asking that question now, like, you know, next time I see somebody on campus, like I'll do my best to spread that word, and, you know, hopefully more people will buy into that too, and make it somewhere you want to be. Like you want to be happy, and you want to like be proud of where you say you go to school. So like I want to be proud when I say that I go to St. Peter's, and I want other people to be proud that they go to St. Peter's as well.
It's really hard to feel comfortable to open up about things, especially with someone who's in like a place of authority, or someone who has a serious title as like a therapist. I just think that the athletes here would benefit so much more from a sports psychologist, like on that end of things. But not to say, because our trainers, like they work overtime on the emotional end, 100%. Like Marquise is my older brother. Like I've never felt a connection to a trainer or just a coach that runs as deep as I do with Marquise. He's been there with me through just unspeakable things.
When you're in the middle of a storm, like you just got to keep putting one foot in front of the other, because there is an end to that storm. And like when you're in the middle of it, everything you look at just seems like your world is falling apart. But if you just keep putting one step in front of the other, like you're gonna get through it, and you're gonna look back at that storm and just be like so grateful that that happened, and realize like all the benefits that came from it. So it's just all about like, you know, being mentally tough, and like knowing that you can get through anything that's put in front of you.
You were inspired by the world, so let the world be inspired by you. And this was a quote that we put on a t-shirt after my friend died. It's something that really has stuck with me my whole life. Like, you can be inspired by the things that happen around you. You watch it on TV, you see it in the news, or you see it just in real life too, on social media, stuff like that. Now it's your turn to inspire everyone else around you. And that's not just through performing well on the court. I think it's also just deep down, like your values as a person.
Thanks, Alex.
Absolutely, man. I'm so glad. Thanks for asking me.
Thank you.
Peacocks on 3, 1, 2, 3. Peacocks!